Welcome to the Rime Buddhist Center's Dharma Talk podcast, Achieving Peace Through Compassion. This podcast is a recording of the Dharma Talks given during our Sunday service. This talk was given by Lama Matthew Palden Gocha.
So today we're exploring the central teachings of the Mahāyāna Buddhism, the inseparable union of compassion and wisdom, the twin virtues that illuminate the path of a bodhisattva. And this morning's Dharma talk is titled Lotus in the Flame. So let's quickly look at the symbolism of the lotus in the flame. The lotus is rooted in mud, yet blossoming in radiant purity, unstained by the murky waters. And this embodies the potential for spiritual growth, even amid suffering and worldly desires. The lotus symbolizes compassion, the altruistic wish that all beings be free from suffering. The flame, flickering yet clear, represents wisdom, the insight into reality as it truly is, beyond illusion and grasping. Like a cave shrouded in darkness for 1,000 years, the moment a single flame is lit, its light dispels the shadows, not gradually, but instantly. And these two are not separate forces, but two aspects of the awakened heart-mind. In Mahāyāna Buddhism, they're seen as the twin pillars of enlightenment, the steady hands and the clear eyes of a bodhisattva. Compassion without wisdom can be sentimental, unstable, even misguided. Whereas wisdom without compassion can be cold, detached, and indifferent. But together they form a dynamic and transformative path, one that not only liberates the self, but extends beyond boundless benefit to all sentient beings. In Mahāyāna Buddhism, compassion, or karuṇā in Sanskrit, is not mere sentiment or fleeting emotion. It's an active force, a courageous movement of the heart that embraces the suffering of all beings, not just those that we like or that we agree with. In chapter 3, verse 18 of the Bodhicharyavatara, Shantideva says, "May I be a guard for those who are protectorless, a guide for those who journey on the road." End quote. Expression is the spirit of the bodhisattva, a vow to return again and again until all beings are free. And we can understand compassion through three key features. Its universal scope, where it doesn't discriminate whether someone is a friend, stranger, or one who has harmed us. Compassion includes all of them. It also has active engagement. It doesn't stop at wishing others well. Compassion acts through service, listening, giving, or simply being present with another's pain. And finally, bodhicitta. This is compassion's highest expression, the vow to attain awakening not for ourselves alone, but for all beings. In our own lives, compassion can be practiced in small, deliberate ways. Through loving kindness meditation or metta meditation, we water the seeds of goodwill, starting with ourselves and radiating that outward towards others. And through acts of service, we embody compassion in the world around us. And through forgiveness, we let go of resentment and begin to see the suffering behind others' harmful actions. And yet, compassion alone is not enough. Often, when we speak of compassion, we think of it as soft, warm, nurturing, and it is. But what we sometimes overlook is that compassion without wisdom can become overwhelming. It can carry us so deeply into others' suffering that we forget how to breathe ourselves. And we may find ourselves burned out, burdened, or even resentful because of that. Not because we lack kindness, but because we lack balance. Yongey Mingyur Dorje, or Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, in his video, Compassionate Wisdom, says, "Sometimes loving kindness and compassion have limitations." He goes on to say, because this is a relative practice. Therefore, we need what we call compassionate wisdom. Wisdom is really important for love and compassion, end quote. When wisdom enters our compassion, it's like space entering a tight room. We begin to see that our pain, even the pain of others, is not something we must carry like a heavy load. Instead, we witness it. We hold it gently, spaciously, without clinging. Wisdom teaches us that the self who is suffering and the self who wants to save others are both constructs, empty of fixed identity, yet full of love. Compassion moves to help, but wisdom, or prajñā, teaches us how to help. It is the clear seeing of reality, beyond appearances, beyond ego, and beyond duality. At the heart of wisdom is the insight into emptiness, śūnyatā, the understanding that all phenomena, including our thoughts, our identities, are empty of any permanent, independent self. This doesn't mean that nothing exists. It means everything arises in interdependence from causes and conditions. Wisdom reminds us everything is impermanent, so we don't need to cling to it. Everything is interconnected, so we don't need to feel so isolated. Yet there's no fixed self, so we can let go of our ego-based striving. We cultivate this wisdom through meditation on emptiness, observing how all things arise and dissolve, through mindfulness, remaining present, aware of the fluid nature of our experience, and through study, especially the teachings found in the sutras like the Heart Sūtra or Diamond Sutra, which challenge our habitual ways of seeing. And when we look deeply for this me, this I who suffers or who helps, we often can't find it. And in that moment, when we stop grasping and simply rest in awareness, our mind takes a breath. And that is the true beginning of our compassion. Oftentimes you see the metaphor of the bird, and so like the two wings of a bird, compassion and wisdom must arise together. Try to fly with one wing, you go in circles, or you're just going to crash. And so compassion without wisdom, again, can become clinging, sentimental, or enabling. And wisdom without compassion can become cold and indifferent. And we may see through the illusion of self, but without the motivation to serve, we isolate ourselves in emptiness. But when these two qualities merge, something beautiful happens. The bodhisattva sees that all beings are empty, and yet continues to work tirelessly for their liberation. And why? It's because emptiness is not separate from form. In the Heart Sūtra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Noble Avalokiteshvara, declares, form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form is not other than emptiness. And this is not a contradiction. This is the deepest truth of interbeing. This unity of compassion and wisdom is what allows the Bodhisattva to act without attachment, to serve without burnout, and to love without fear. So how do we do this? I think that's the million-dollar question, right? Why everybody showed up today? Well, we start with skillful means, or upaya, and this refers to the intelligent and compassionate methods used by enlightened beings, especially bodhisattvas, to guide sentient beings towards awakening, even if the methods are unconventional or adapted to the specific needs and capabilities of the individual. We meet people where they are. Like a teacher adapting to each student, we tailor our compassion based on others' needs and capabilities. Also, with the Bodhisattva vow, we remember our larger intention, to awaken not just for ourselves, but to help guide others across an ocean of suffering. And finally, we work in balance. We check in with ourselves. Are we acting from love or from our ego? Are we overextending or are we retreating? Compassion and wisdom teach us to care without being consumed. So a simple practice that we can do is before helping someone, pause and ask ourselves, am I seeing this person clearly or through the lens of my own expectation? Am I attached to the outcome, or can I simply offer help without needing control. This pause, the stillness between the lotus and the flame, is where the bodhisattva lives. So, in closing, I invite you to reflect on this quote from His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. As we have seen, compassion is one of the principal things that make our lives meaningful. It is the source of all lasting happiness and joy. It is the foundation of a good heart, the heart of one who acts out of desire to help others, through kindness, through affection, through honesty, through truth and justice towards all others. We ensure our own benefit. And this is not a matter for complicated theorizing. It is a matter of common sense. There is no denying that consideration of others is worthwhile. There is no denying that our happiness is inextricably bound up with the happiness of others. And there is no denying if society suffers, ourselves suffer. Nor is there any denying the more our hearts and minds are afflicted with ill will, the more miserable we become. End quote. Let your compassion bloom, like a lotus in muddy waters of the world. Let your wisdom burn, like a steady flame illuminating the path, not just for yourself, but for all beings. May we walk together with the lotus in our hearts and the flame in our minds until every being awakens from the dream of suffering. I hope that this talk has been beneficial to you. May your week be filled with compassion, wisdom, gratefulness, and joy.
Thank you for listening to the Rime Buddhist Center's Dharma Talk podcast. Music was provided by Barefoot Bran Music. Please consider supporting the Rime Buddhist Center by making a donation at our website at www.rimecenter.org/donate.